If you could travel back 2,000 years and meet an ancient ancestor, you'd amaze them with modern technology. Imagine their reaction to your mobile phone or smartwatch. But don't feel too superior, they might surprise you with their own incredible innovations. As you'll see, there's much about our ancestors' technology that remains a mystery. In April 2021, northern Peru faced a severe drought. To address the crisis, farmers turned to a gift from their ancient ancestors. Lacking sufficient water from conventional sources, the community began restoring pre-Columbian stone canals, over 1,000 years old. Known as amunas, these canals were likely built by the native inhabitants of Huaracaire province around 1,400 years ago, predating both the Incas and Europeans. Ingeniously designed, the canals follow mountain slopes, channeling rainwater to permeable areas where it filters through the soil, replenishing aquifers and eventually feeding springs weeks or months later. This method ensured a water supply long after the rainy season ended. Restoring the entire network is expected to take until at least 2025, but they have already restored 17 out of 67 kilometers, providing enough water for over 80,000 people for a year. This is an ancient solution to a modern problem. Peru boasts remarkable ancient technology, exemplified by its intricate hydraulic systems. One such marvel is the Puos, believed to have been engineered by the Nazca culture, also known for the renowned Nazca lines. Viewed from above, the site resembles a spiral carving, suggesting artistic intent. However, its purpose was deeply practical. The spirals function as surface channels leading to subterranean reservoirs and aqueducts. These Puos ensured a reliable water supply for the region's ancient inhabitants throughout the prolonged dry seasons, which could span over a year. The system's sophistication initially led archaeologists to wrongly attribute its creation to the Spanish, postulating that the indigenous peoples were too primitive for such innovation, an assumption rooted in arrogance and racism. The Spanish may have utilized the Puos, but their construction predates their arrival. The ancient Romans were not only known for their love of wine but also for their innovative designs for wine and olive oil presses. Olive oil held great significance for the Romans, who believed in its healing properties. The personal physician of Emperor Julian used olive oil in ointments and as a coating for plasters on wounds. Roman soldiers, known for their superstitions, often consumed olive oil before battles. One of the most advanced olive oil presses of Roman civilization was the trapedum, with the best preserved one found in the ruins of Pompeii. The trapedum operated by pouring olives into a bowl and crushing them between two large concave stones attached to a beam, which was connected to an iron pivot and secured to a post. These presses were often arranged in groups of 3, producing large quantities of olive oil daily. The invention of the odometer is attributed to various ancient inventors. Heron of Alexandria described an odometer in his manuscript Dioptra, while Vitruvius also designed one about 2,000 years ago, possibly based on Archimedes' earlier design. The first working model was likely based on Vitruvius' design. The Vitruvian odometer was a wheelbarrow with a large hollow wheel filled with pebbles. Each revolution of the wheel dropped a pebble into the wheelbarrow, allowing travelers to measure distance by multiplying the wheel circumference by the number of pebbles. This innovation greatly benefited the Roman military and mapmakers, significantly improving the accuracy of maps. By this point in the video, it should be clear that our ancient ancestors were more advanced than we often acknowledge. However, one might doubt their ability to refrigerate food. Surprisingly, they did. While it may seem impossible to create a refrigerator without electricity, the Persians managed it 2,400 years ago with what they called yakshals, translating to ice pits, though this is a misleading term. Yakshals were not pits but more like large tents. Standing at 60 feet high, they were constructed to channel water from nearby springs. The water was cooled using wind catchers, and a cooling system based on evaporation removed heat and moisture. To further insulate the contents, the exterior was coated with thick layers of sand, clay, egg whites, and goat hair, reflecting the sun's heat. While these coatings may have emitted an odor, they effectively preserved the food inside. In this video, we've explored several hydraulic systems, but none as ancient as the next remarkable example of ancient technology. Discovered in the lower Yangtze River area of China in December 2017, this system is believed to be one of the world's oldest water management projects. The people living here 5,000 years ago faced constant flooding, so they took action. Over about 50 years, they dug canals, built dams by piling up land, and implemented a gating system to control water flow. This extensive system covers 10,000 hectares of land, involving the movement of 10 million cubic feet of earth. Experts estimate that building just one of the larger dams would have required a team of 3,000 people working for 8 years. Despite its enormity, the system failed, and the ancient city of Liangshu was submerged by a massive flood around 4,200 years ago, burying the entire area under 2 feet of clay and leading to its abandonment. Between the invention of the sundial and the clock, ancient Egyptians used various methods to track time, one of which was the Marquette. Although it appears simple, a Marquette is quite complex. It consists of a bar of wood or bone covered in notches and carvings, with the bars attached to weighted plumb lines. The 24 notches along the bars do not correspond to each hour of the day. Instead, there are specific notches for sunrise, sunset, movements of celestial bodies at night, and tracking the sun's position throughout the day. Unlike sundials, which struggle to track time after sunset, Marquettes remain useful even under a bright moon. Some archaeologists suggest that Marquettes were also used to measure angles, aiding in the design and construction of temples. The oldest known Marquette, about 2,600 years old, is displayed at the Science Museum of London, although it's likely that Marquettes were used even earlier than this example. The Iron Pillar of Delhi, crafted over 1,500 years ago, appears astonishingly rust-free today. This isn't due to regular cleaning or polishing, but because it's inherently rust-proof. Standing 22 feet tall, the iron column, also known as the Ashokan pillar, is coated with a substance called misawite that prevents rust by blocking oxygen from reaching the iron. Scientists believe this rust resistance was likely an accidental result of unique conditions during its creation, where hot iron mixed with lime slag and damp air. This miraculous property made the pillar a marvel for ancient Delhi residents. Supporting the idea of a fortunate accident, no other rust-proof artifacts from this period in India have been found. During the height of the Roman Empire, the Romans perfected the art of making glass and concrete. Their concrete was vastly superior to the concrete we use today. Modern Portland cement, our current industry standard, lasts about a century in marine environments, even with rebar reinforcement. In contrast, ancient Roman structures like arches, breakwaters, and aqueducts have stood for 2,000 years, even in corrosive saltwater. The secret lay in their materials and methods. Romans combined volcanic ash and lime to create mortar, then mixed it with volcanic rock as aggregate. This mixture, used in iconic structures like the Pantheon and Trajan's markets, resulted in concrete filled with tobermarite, zeolite, and philipsite. These minerals formed as seawater seeped into the concrete, reacting with the lime and volcanic ash to create interlocking minerals that filled void spaces. Remarkably, exposure to seawater made Roman concrete stronger over time. Despite its durability, we don't use this Roman recipe today because no one has been able to replicate the mixture accurately since the fall of the Roman Empire. The Inca constructed numerous stunning stone monuments in Peru, but the methods they used remain a mystery. Many stones appear to have been sliced effortlessly, a feat that seems impossible. But what if it wasn't? What if ancient people knew a technique to soften stone by combining various plants and applying the mixture to hard rock? This idea, though seemingly outlandish, is suggested by Inca records. Some historians believe that the art of softening stone was not exclusive to Peru but was known worldwide. Consider the famous handprints on White Mountain in Wyoming, USA. They appear to be carved into the rock with a smoothness that suggests they were pressed into wet cement. If such a plant mixture existed, it could explain how our ancestors moved, cut, and shaped massive stones weighing hundreds of tons. The major question is what these plants were and if they can still be found. It's possible that these plants were so heavily used that some of the species involved are now extinct. If you needed a high-quality sword during the Middle Ages, you'd insist on one made from wood steel, also known as Damascus steel. Renowned as the hardest steel of its time, its origins trace back well before the Middle Ages. This remarkable invention hails from India, where it was developed over 1,000 years before the process became known elsewhere. Damascus steel is a type of crucible steel, created by melting all the ingredients together in a crucible mold and then pouring the mixture into a cast. The name woods might be derived from the South Indian word oku, meaning steel. The term first appeared in English in the late 18th century, though Indians had been producing this superior steel for about 2,000 years by then. Even records of Alexander the Great mention the high quality of Indian steel. The secret to making Damascus steel was likely guarded and passed down through generations, enabling India to dominate its production and export for centuries. Thank you for watching another episode of Just Discovery. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on more exciting content. See you next time.